definitely. Irene Shin, gossiping is really kind of bad manners. Oh, I'm so glad you brought up gossiping, Irene. Yes. Oh, wow. We could talk for a long time on the subject of gossiping, and something I'm guilty of sometimes. So I think as humans, we like to share social information about others, but we should never do it when we're at work. That could really hurt someone's feelings. We could do a wide number of things to damage your career or to hurt somebody else. So it's just such a, very bad practice. So just, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything, that sort of thing. Eating aloud. Yes, Apple. We discussed that. Yes. So make a noise when blowing your nose when sneezing. Right. Definitely those bodily function noises. Again, because it's the human body, sometimes you can't control what happens, but whenever possible, yes, trying to excuse yourself from the situation to take care of those sounds, doing them discreetly. It's just best to walk outside or walk to the bathroom and handle that in privacy. Definitely. Looking at your smartphone. Yes. Kibyong, yes. A smartphone is, I think, something that is a big problem these days. I mean, we're obviously we get so much from having a phone. I'm not trying to say that cell phones are inherently problematic, but it's just that when somebody is on their phone too much at work and it's distracting everybody or preventing them from doing their work, then it could be quite a negative thing. T. Jenny says, making personal remarks about someone's appearance or clothing. Oh, yes, definitely. I think it could be okay. Just my personal opinion. If somebody is dressed so nicely that day, it's so obvious that they look stunning, and you can maybe compliment them. Oh, wow, you're so, you look great, and oh, I love your skirt, or I love your tie, something like that. That's always nice to share a compliment, as long as it's truly a compliment. It's not a backhanded compliment. A backhanded compliment is something where it sounds like a compliment, but there's a little bit of an insult inside of it. So, for example, if somebody says to me, oh, you look prettier today than you did yesterday, I wouldn't take that really as a compliment. I would categorize that as a backhanded compliment because it would imply, oh, what do you mean? I was ugly yesterday. I usually look ugly and now I look better today. So if you just keep it like really, really simple, like, hi, oh, you look great today. It can't be misinterpreted. Yes, so don't comment on others' appearances unless it's extremely and clearly positive. Yes, definitely. And the safest bet is, like T. Jenny says, just don't comment, don't make personal remarks on someone's appearance or clothing. I like how you wrote that. Good job. Kwang Sung Park says, good day. What is office setting? Oh, I think perhaps maybe you just tuned in. So welcome. And we're talking about office setting would just mean office environment. So setting refers to the place where something happens. And office would be, sure, your business, your office. We can maybe just generalize it as like a general 9-to-5 job where you're sitting at a cubicle. So you're kind of in front of a computer at a desk. Just office setting, we can just generalize because, of course, everybody has different jobs, and that manners could differ slightly from job to job. For example, someone could be, an athlete, piano teacher, someone who collects garbage, a government officer, or like a public officer. So we just want to keep it general today and just say office setting. So at your office, what are some things that you shouldn't do? Okay, Eddie Jack says, my coworker wore award clothes, for example, sleeveless dress. Oh, so that can be seen as something maybe against a company's dress code. So I know that, yes, the way that you dress in some instances could maybe be offensive to others. So it's really good just to follow the best practices at your workplace. Maybe in some industries, showing your complete arm, your bare arm, not a problem. But in other environments, it's better to tend to dress more conservatively because then, there's no distraction. Everyone looks more similar to each other, and then we can just, focus on our work. It's not a fashion show. We're here to work. That's what my parents used to say to me whenever I was worried about my appearance. They said, don't really worry too much. Just focus on your work and, wear something that wouldn't distract other people. Okay, unique choices, smoking. There are still people who smoke here. Right. So in that case, okay, smoking in a workplace could, cause obvious issues for people who have difficulty breathing or just non-smokers who don't enjoy the smell. So, of course, following the smoking rules of that environment. I don't know well about the smoking laws in Korea. I'm a non-smoker, but in Canada there are some very strict rules about having to be outside of a building and very far away from this. How can I say, from the areas that people are normally passing through and walking in. So usually there are designated smoking areas so that the non-smokers can avoid those areas easily. Bad manners when you sneeze, when you don't cover it with your hands. Yes, yes. Or when you cough, if you just kind of cough like this, right? You're not covering it or blocking it. Definitely. Etiquette is awkward, so maybe you're making an awkward situation for others. Really burp. Oh, there are so many. They just keep coming and burping in an office. And I would hate to give everyone an example of burping. Maybe we can Google that word later on your own time. But oh no, I should say, as an English teacher, I should explain. If you don't know the word burp, it's when let's say gas is released from your mouth. So that sort of thing. Complaining, yes, that's so good, Jenny, because when people are being negative or complaining too much, that can make the atmosphere awkward in your workplace. Like Eddie Jack brought up a good point with that word awkward. It's very uncomfortable for others. Very good. Drinking alcohol too much last night or evening. So I'm sure we've all had that coworker come into work and you can maybe smell something on them. So you can detect the scent of alcohol on them, and you would just assume that they had been drinking the night before quite heavily. Oh, I always feel bad for those coworkers. But it's not that considerate, right? Because people have to be around that strong alcohol smell. Usually, well, okay, let's save that discussion for later. I think that we'll be talking about food and drink in future lessons. So we'll reserve that for another time. Okay, 9 meters outside a building. Oh, thank you, Cece. There we go. 9 meters. Okay, that's quite a lot of space. Great. When someone talks with a smoke smell, right? Okay, so of course, brush your teeth. And I hope that I'm not coming across as someone who is, how can I say this, is very anti-smoking. I just think that everyone's free to do what they want, but it's just better if you know that you're doing something that could cause discomfort for others. You should try to take care of it. So I'm not saying it's bad if you're a smoker, right? Or it's bad if you eat a lot of garlic. Actually, I'm very guilty of that. I love garlic. So I'm always very, very aware of, I ate some garlic. I need to be careful of my breath. I need to brush my teeth a lot and take a lot of showers, right? So eating some smelly food, right? Giving unrequested advice, yes. We all have coworkers like that who just like to insert themselves into your life and kind of tell you something, give you tips. You don't really want to know about it. You don't care about their opinion. You didn't ask, but they're just feeling the need to like lecture you, tell you how you should be living your life. Right situation in private, usually, we say that could be a conversation to be had behind closed doors. So that just means, right, finding the right time to bring up your concerns and keeping your language in check when you're doing so. And obviously looking at how situations and problems are usually very complicated, and it's never usually just one person who is at fault. I think that when there's a negative situation, people kind of need to look inward and think, how are we all contributing to this in some way, and how can we all make it better? So it's never good to just point the finger, so to say, and blame one person for a multitude of problems. I think that, right, life is more nuanced than that. Judgmental behavior about coworkers is a bad manner, I think, especially how they were, yes, Irene, good point. Commenting on how someone does their work, how well they do it, giving that unsolicited feedback about them. Judgmental behavior, right. Frowning, yes. Thank you, Kong Sung Park. I know some people, their face is always looking like they're frowning, even if they're happy. We kind of call that like a resting negative face, or the face where when they're just neutral, they look kind of like they're frowning. So some people can't control that too much. But I mean, if someone is constantly in a bad mood and trying to show others that they're in a bad mood, that's not so great for morale. And morale is kind of like, the feeling in your office, the atmosphere, the spirit. Very good, everyone. Okay. We've already talked about it, so we won't spend much time on it, but let's look at the other end, the more positive situation. So that would be, what are some examples of good manners in an office setting. So we've talked about that a little bit before, but I just want to sum that up before we move on to our next section. So what are some examples of good manners? How can we treat others well, speak well, act well in the office? And Eddie Jack brought up a great word, meddling. Oh, meddling. We say like, don't meddle in other people's affairs. That just means don't involve yourself in other people's business, in their lives. Very good. We shouldn't meddle with others. That relates to giving the unsolicited advice. Excellent word. I like that word. Good job. Okay, so for example, one of mine would be for an example of good manners is, yes, keeping your office, specifically your desk, your area very clean and tidy. I think that it shows consideration to others that you keep your area nice. There's no rotting food on your desk. That's an extreme example, but I have seen it. You don't have just papers in disarray everywhere. You have an organized, nice place to work, and it just helps create a good atmosphere for everybody. So other examples of good manners in an office, let's see. Greeting with a smile, Hyunju Kim. Yes, greeting with a smile. Being positive, yes, definitely. Talking about something nicely, certainly. Smile every time. It's kind of hard to smile at every moment, every time, but do your best to keep everything, happy, lighthearted, or at least neutral. When you meet, smile and greet first. Yeah, that makes a great atmosphere. Without anger, yes, keeping your anger to a minimum, controlling your temper. Clean hygiene. Yes, we've discussed that already. It is a must. It's very essential. Avoiding talking. Oh, sorry, I misread. Avoid taking personal calls. Yes. If it's an emergency, go right ahead. But if it's just your friend is calling to check up on you in the middle of the day, maybe save that for another time, or at least step out. And yes, don't be speaking loudly about personal affairs in the office. Good job. Any others, everyone? Okay, I think we have covered a lot, and it's time to move on to our next section. I would like to share with you some idioms and expressions that are very useful when we're in an office setting. So let's look here, everyone. I hope you can see without any glare. It looks a little bright. Let me see if I can adjust this further. I think this is okay. All right, before we get into it, let's see. I have a few more responses coming in. Autumn story, pretending to be calm. Maybe when you're clearly upset, but you're pretending to be calm, it can be awkward. I think if you're upset, it's a good idea just to walk away from the situation. Don't pass one's job, as in don't pass it on to others. Like don't give your work to other people. Yes. So doing your responsibility. Keep people updated. Yes. And we're going to be talking about that soon, actually. That refers to our expression. Oh, here we go. Yes. So we'll get started. So another thing that's a good way to treat others in the office is to keep people on the same page. And as you can see here, it means that everyone is thinking in a similar way, or that they have the same knowledge as others. So that means you're not excluding somebody from some knowledge that's important to them. So, example, before we decide, let's make sure that we're on the same page. That means that everyone has the same amount of information so they all can make a good decision. On the same page. Oh, very good. Eddie Jack says, we are in the same boat. Excellent. Yeah, so when people are on the same page, they are in the same boat. In the same boat has a little bit of a nuanced difference. In the same boat is like a situation, and we usually could apply it to like neutral or maybe negative things. For example, if I said, I'm just stuck indoors all of the day, all day because of the coronavirus, my friend could tell me, oh, me too. Right? We're in the same boat. We're stuck on the same boat. We're stuck in the same boat, like this. So it just means in the same situation. And we use it usually like about a more negative thing, but it's not always that way. On the same page, think of a teacher instructing their students. The teacher needs to make sure that all of the students are reading the same page as the teacher during a lesson, that they're all getting the same content, all the same information at the same time. So same page is same emotion. Could be the same emotion. I hope we're on the same page about that. I deliver some information. Are you okay with it? I hope we're on the same page about that, meaning we both feel the same way, right? Same emotion or same thinking about a problem. Oh, Jenny made a great sample sentence. We are not on the same page regarding the issue. Yes, that's a really nice expression. You could hear it in a business setting. Okay, feel free, everyone, to make a sample sentence, by the way, while I'm talking about each one. But we will move on because we have some more. So for this one, the next one, if you want to make a sentence, feel free. By the book. So if you hear about something being done by the book, it means when we do something exactly according to the rules, strictly according to the rules. For example, we could say that the police conducted the investigation by the book. It means that they followed all of the rules, all of the regulations, all of the policies. They didn't do anything that was illegal in conducting this investigation. So if you do something by the book, it's kind of like saying you followed the rule book. You followed every protocol perfectly. So if someone would like to try to make by the book into a sentence, I would love to read it. Eddie Jex is like, no mercy. It could be like that. It could be, yes, very unemotional, unattached, just following the rules no matter what. Maybe there are some circumstances where rules can be broken, but that's not the case here if you do it by the book. By the book means no matter what, we're doing things as we should do according to rule, according to laws. Very good. Let's see if anyone has a sample sentence for by the book. You could say, my boss does everything by the book. She always does everything by the book, says T. Jenny. Well done. Okay, you cannot go outside now by the book. Right, okay. So that sentence is good. However, we could change it to sound more natural. We're doing it by the book. We cannot go outside right now because of the coronavirus. So it's something we do directly. Do it according to the law. Exactly, Apple. Very good. Illegal action must be handled by the book. Perfect. Kim Minu. Excellent. The company lays off the workers, by the book. Yes, right. We can say that. And by the way, good job on the word lay off. Lay off is like to let somebody go from their job. That means, in another sense, to fire them, but fire is very strong and direct, and fire usually means that somebody did something wrong and they are being punished by being fired. But layoff could just be that the company is downsizing, so they need to be let go. The worker can't continue there anymore. The auditor carried the investigation out by the way. Oh, Hyunju Kim, awesome. That's a great one. Apple, if you're looking for someone to approve an exception, don't go to Ted. He does everything by the book. Yes, there are no exceptions when doing something by the book. Well done. Okay, our next one, to cut corners. Now, this one can be said quite often. It means it means to do something in like the easiest or fastest or cheapest way. So, corner, as you know, is kind of like, this edge. So if we cut the corner, it's kind of just saying we're taking like the fastest route to something, to some solution. So we have here, he is a careless worker who likes to cut corners. So maybe you can try to give me a sentence or tell me an example, or you could tell me about someone you know who likes to cut corners. That means maybe they do something fast. It might be a little bit sloppy. It might be a little bit imperfect. They want to do it cheaply. So we can talk about like a construction project at an apartment. Oh, we could say that the builders really cut corners on this project. They didn't do everything perfectly. They just did it fast. Let's see. To cut corners. And a moment, I'm going to adjust like this. Here we are. To cut corners. Or you could say, I like to cut corners. It's a way that we can work efficiently. Yes, Eddie Jack. There we go, efficiently. Same, we're on the same page. Yeah, so you work efficiently when you cut corners. Sometimes, though, you may make a negative situation from cutting corners a little bit too much. Very good. Anyone else? To cut corners. This one may be a little bit hard to come up with an example, so I'll try to say another one. We could say that, again, it's usually a negative context. We could say that maybe the teacher cut corners when she was teaching her lesson. So that means she skipped over important parts of the lesson. She didn't do really a great job. She just wanted to finish like that. So, ooh, what a bad teacher. Or you could say that the person who cooked your meal at the restaurant, they really cut corners. They really cut corners. They didn't really care about the taste of this food. They just wanted it to be cooked quickly. Yeah, like a drive-through. Thank you. Yeah, drive-through could be like cutting corners in a sense. Cutting corners is harmful. Try to be steady. Very good. He cut corners to get what he wanted, Hyunju Kim. Nice. Okay. We have COVID-19. Maybe some corners were cut in the early stages of, how can I say, testing that disease in certain countries. But that's a whole other issue. If you cut corners and don't apply a top coat, then your nails probably are going to chip faster. Oh, thank you, Apple. Yes, that is a perfect example and something that I can relate to.